What is going on, everybody? Welcome in. It's the Wager Alarm live stream. I'm Howard Bender. With me, of course, Craig Mish. And it is time to talk NFL Conference Championships, picking against the spread. Craig, how are you doing, man? You've obviously gotten all the information you're going to get this week, and
That's right.
you avoid that scare of Pat Mahomes not playing. He was cleared through concussion protocol actually today, Friday. So we good to go.
Yeah, I mean, I think we are. I think, when you look back just to kind of, recap the way that things went, I think there's no doubt that the games didn't have as much drama as maybe we thought they would have, Howard. I thought in terms of against the spread, you pretty much knew. I feel like going into the fourth quarter, a lot of those games who was going to cover, which is rare in a divisional round to not have any games go down to the wire. I think that'll be corrected this week. I think the lines in the games this week are pretty much telling you we're in for at least one good game of the two. You never know how these can go, but but fascinating to me, Howard, more than anything else. We've talked about this a lot through the years. People who may be watching us for the first time, maybe your fantasy and you don't pay attention to wagering, but when you make Green Bay 3 and when you make Tampa Bay 3, it doesn't mean that those two teams are 3 points better than the other. When the team is at home, you basically give them a 3 point advantage. That's for being at home. And in this case, that's basically all it means, which means the games are wide open. Any team can win. Definitely feel like Buffalo can win. Definitely feel like Tampa Bay can win. I can build a narrative. I'm sure you can too for both sides. And that's what we'll try to do is decipher who ends up getting the win this weekend.
Well, the narratives are great. I mean, I've gone through a bunch of them there. The one that I said was probably the most heartbreaking. My co-host on Fantasy Alarm, Jim Bowden, is all about the underdogs, and all I kept thinking was how bad would it be for Bills Mafia, for Bills fans to make it to the Super Bowl, right? The first year Brady's not in the division, the Bills win the AFC East. They run through the gauntlet, they beat everybody, and they come out only to have to lose to Tom Brady in the Super Bowl in his backyard. Like that narrative right there. I mean, it tears you at the heartstrings. And then the other narratives you could look at, you could say you've got Aaron Rodgers versus Pat Mahomes for the State Farm battle. Like that's a nice little, added bonus there. So I think the only one that you really can't come up with like an intriguing narrative really is Josh Allen versus Aaron Rodgers, Green Bay and Buffalo. Other than the fact that two of the coldest temperature playing teams are now going to be chilling out in Tampa Bay for the Super Bowl.
Yeah, and they announced that I believe 20,000 fans will be allowed in Tampa.
Yep.
Last time the Super Bowl was there, I did go to that game. It was a fun atmosphere for sure. And I think that they'll do a nice job putting on a Super Bowl with only half the crowd. And it was really nice to see that a lot of the fans there, 7,500, are going to be medical workers who've been vaccinated. So, I like that. I think it's cool. But yeah, I think that what we'll do is we'll look at each game, try to make a case here for both sides, and in the end, make a final decision. Just to give you an update on the lines, as everybody knows by now, we'll get to the totals here in a sec. But in terms of the spreads, the Packers opened up as 4 point favorites, and then it quickly went down to 3.5, and then 3 at 3 for most of the week. And most books right now have it at Green Bay minus 3.5. I'm seeing a lot of 3.5, Howard. I don't know if you are too, but I'm seeing a lot of 3.5 there.
I honestly, I think that I've been seeing 3.5 for most of the time now in this game. It was the obviously the Bills Chiefs game that I was wondering what kind of movement we were going to see just based on the injuries. But yeah, everywhere I'm looking right now, it's Packers minus 3.5 over the Bucks.
Right. And then the Chiefs opened up Sunday night after the game was over as 1 point favorites just because of, I guess, the uncertainty as to whether or not Mahomes would play. But very quickly on Monday, that line went to 2.5 and then 3. And then you're right. It was 3 pretty much the entire week until I think late yesterday. I saw a shift to 3.5. And I believe that's pretty much where it is now. I've never seen this before. I've never seen two championship games, teams at home laying exactly the same a number. And by the way, the totals are not all that different. With the Bucks Packers is at 51.5, which is what it opened at. And then Bills Chiefs opened up at 50.5 again, with not knowing Mahomes was there very quickly on Monday, went to 53. And now I'm seeing a lot of 54, 54.5 there. So almost identical lines and totals in both games. So hopefully, I think more than anything else at this stage of the betting game, you just hope for good games this weekend, right? Like we're hoping for two good
Right.
games.
Yeah.
We're hoping fourth quarter, game is close because the lines are going to, the odds makers are so good this time of the year. They know what they're doing. So I guess if you want to start with Bucks Packers and give me your thoughts on what you see here.
No, I don't want to. I don't want to share that with you
Okay, have a good day.
Bucks Packers. Right off the bat, I'll just tell you where I'm at. I think the Packers win this game, but I'm taking the Bucks and the points because I think that this game just it comes down. We're looking at a field goal at the end, whether it's Mason Crosby or the Ryan Suckup, or whoever it is. I feel like these two teams can play each other fairly closely. I think that Tampa Bay needs to run the ball hard if they want to, truly be successful. I think the cold weather, it shouldn't necessarily be a problem for Brady, but I mean, you look at the Bucks team and having to play in Green Bay is a little bit of roughness. So, they don't have Antonio Brown. They still have some really strong weapons. I haven't seen Brady throw a dazzling performance against a really good defense or even just a good defense in a little while. You look at what he's done over the last 5 weeks, it was less than 200 yards and 2 touchdowns against the Saints. He smashed against the Falcons twice, the Lions once, Washington.
Packers, right? Packers too?
What's that?
Did he play well against the Packers?
No, see, that's the thing. The last time he played the Packers, it was 38-10, but Brady threw for 166 yards and 2 touchdowns.
It's defense, right? Defense.
So it was the defense that turned out with a touchdown there, and it was like the worst quarter of football you've ever seen Aaron Rodgers play in his life, ever. So I look at this and say that Tampa Bay is going to need to be very successful at running the ball, which is why I think that this game kind of goes, fairly closely back and forth. But I got to be honest with you, Craig. I hear what everybody's saying about Tom Brady, the Bucks, and the Super Bowl being in Tampa Bay. Aaron Rodgers, to me, is on a mission, and it was to not just win the MVP of the season, but it's to win the Super Bowl this year and take the Super Bowl MVP. I think he takes that next step this week.
Yeah, I see it the same way. And I'm sorry, John and Pemba, but I do. I do see it the same way. The one thing that you have to be careful of if you're an odds maker in this particular situation is understanding where your money is going to be. And I would ask you, Howard, that if it was literally outside of Mahomes, any other quarterback playing for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in this spot, what would the line be? And I think the Packers would be a bigger favorite. I think that simply put, this is where we talk about tax. And I think that a lot of money comes in on Tom Brady. He's very popular. People want him to win. I think that's where most of the money will be. And right now it doesn't indicate that with the Packers moving up to 3.5. But I don't think that you're going to get better than this than Tampa Bay, than what you're going to get right here. I don't see Green Bay going to 4. I think it'll be 3.5 or 3 come Sunday. I understand it's moved up a little bit. I just can't go against what I've seen over the last month and a half. And on top of it, Howard, I would also ask you this. Did the Saints resemble anything like a team that deserved to be in the Super Bowl last week? Did Drew Brees resemble anything of what he used to look like, to being taken out of the game for Winston to throw bombs? So I am with you here. Hate to say it, hate to take chalk, but I am with you on the Packers. If I'm playing online and I can buy a half, I'm definitely doing that to 3, no doubt. But
well, see, that's the thing is like I'm betting the Bucks with 3.5.
Yeah,
like, I'll take the 3.5, but I still think the Packers win this game in the end. I really, I mean, it's just, like when I sit there and I look at games like this, like these, and they could go either way, and you can make a case I can make an easy case for Green Bay to, to lose this game just as much as I can to say for them to win it. So when it comes to betting, and I feel like it's this close, I want to be on the side that's getting the points. But I just don't see Green Bay losing this game. I just see it being really that tight.
I understand. I'm still going to take Green Bay, and I'm going to lay the points.
Right on.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that. I feel better about that one than I do the next one. The next one, I think I'm gonna go with a total here. As far as the total, Howard, 51.5. History will tell you history or tell you probably in this one, not about covering, but history tells you one game's going over, one game's going under this weekend. How do you feel about 51.5 in the first game?
You know what? I'm okay with 51.5 in this one here. I feel like this is definitely one of those, like, 30 to 28 kind of,
Okay.
last second field goal type of a situation there. So I kind of feel like I would take the over on this one as opposed to the Bills Chiefs, which I think, few people are really kind of reading into the fact that there's a 70% chance of rain
Hmm.
throughout the game. It's not even just, we're going to get some sun showers or something. This is, we're going to see some rain throughout the entire morning and the afternoon and night.
Gotcha. So yeah, so look, at this time of the year, also player props are out there, and you can entertain those. But I think we kind of see the game the same. You're more lenient toward maybe taking the points. We're basically forced into a hole here, having to make picks on these, and so we're going to put our best foot forward. But clearly, for me, I see the Packers in the Super Bowl. And I'm not sure that I would take Green Bay in the Super Bowl. I think I may take whoever comes out of Bills Chiefs because yeah, I'd like to see this week's game, but I really shouldn't base it all on this week. But I don't. I feel like the AFC again is stronger than the NFC, even with the Packers playing as well as they have. But either way, we both have Packers going to the Super Bowl. You have Tampa Bay covering, and I guess for you, maybe in some spots you could buy to 4, which I would recommend. At this time of the year, I'm buying half points.
Sure, why not?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Not losing enough on the line for that to
No.
happen.
No,
No.
and in fact, the money line for Tampa Bay at plus 3.5 is minus 113. You're probably doing minus 135. It's not horrible.
I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. All right, so let's do Bills Chiefs.
Okay.
Um, you want me to go again? You want me to go first? You
No, I
want to
can
go
start.
first?
So with Buffalo last week, one play changed the entire game. We know that. Scores is 10-10 is 10-3, 10-3. Ravens have the ball. Ravens have the ball near the goal line. Jackson throws an interception. Guy goes all the way back and scores a touchdown. And if you didn't watch the game and you turned it on at the end and you're not a football fan, you don't bet, you go, wow, they blew them out. We know that's not the case. Jackson made one mistake. What happens, Howard, if Jackson throws the ball, the defender on Buffalo hits him in the chest, and it goes on the floor? And then the
Right.
next play, Mark Andrews catches a touchdown, and we're tied at 10. And the final's 13-10, one way or the other, because it very well could have been that. Can't forget that in the NFL. It's a game of luck and not a game of skill sometimes in betting, that's for sure. I liked the Ravens last week, to be clear on that. And I'm not saying the Ravens deserve to win at all because they did not. Buffalo was definitely the better team. But sometimes the score does not indicate the final. In terms of Kansas City, very hard to get a read on that one. They haven't covered 7 weeks in a row. They could have easily lost. But when you lose your quarterback, I'm throwing it all out. And so I believe Kansas City won. They did not deserve a cover. Cleveland absolutely was the right side. Cleveland absolutely could have won the game. I don't believe they could have if Mahomes played in the fourth, but I need to just eliminate that game from my mind because the fourth quarter didn't matter. Once Mahomes went out, it was just survival and just try to win in the end. And Henny made a great play and the game ended. So I do think Kansas City's the better team. I'm not particularly concerned, Howard, with the injuries. I know on my show all week long, my co-host was talking about the foot being maybe an issue, and maybe that is. I really can't speak to that, but I don't know that that's a huge factor in the outcome here. I think the bottom line is that the Bills have played 2 games. They played one against Indianapolis that they could have lost in the playoffs. They played last week against Baltimore, where they played extremely well, but one play changed the entire game. And I think they're in trouble this week going to Kansas City. I do. I think that the Chiefs are probably going back to the Super Bowl. I don't think that this is probably the first time in 5 years, maybe, that I'm going to lean home teams and favorites in both situations. But this is also the first time in 5 years, if you go back at it, and there's not a home team playing for the Super Bowl that's less than a 5 or 6 point favorite. I mean, both
Right.
teams are 3. I think there's value in getting the home teams at 3. I really do. So leaning Chiefs again here in the AFC.
Yeah, that's exactly how I'm leaning as well. Again, obviously it would have been a totally different story had Mahomes not been given clearance. And it wasn't even just that he was given clearance; it was that he was given clearance after limited reps the 2 days before that also. So he's been fine. They're ready to go. I know Andy Reid is feeling some swag after being complimented so ebulliently. How about that in the media for that call at the end? And listen, I think it was a great move.
It was.
And listen, I think that they're just what it is. Buffalo, they beat Indianapolis, but it was still a little bit of a struggle for them there. Um, we've seen these two teams play against each other. Granted, it was week 6. But Edwards-Helaire or, Darrell Williams, whatever, is going to be able to run on Buffalo. And I think that, there's just too much firepower here. And I think there's more swag on the Chiefs side than and there are more nerves on the Bills side here for them to end up doing it and making it happen. I think the Bills are going to be a phenomenal team and a contender in the AFC for a number of years based on what they've got right now. I just don't think this is the season that it happens. And I think the Chiefs actually end up winning this one here. It's going to be a little bit of a sloppy game, which is why I'm going to lean on the under, the 54.5. But yeah, I think that this one here, I'm not going to say they handily beat the Bills, but I'm taking the Chiefs and not even worrying about the extra 3.5 points.
Yeah, I'm also reminded that Tucker missed 2 field goals last week. You reminded me of that during the game last week when I made the comment. What a great video would have been to play online with me saying, and I got Justin Tucker on my side, and that's enough for me going into it. And then Tucker missed 2. You got to go back, Howard, and really say that the Ravens did have an opportunity in that game, and Buffalo
an opportunity. Of course they did.
The reason why this game is so tough is because Buffalo clearly is not as good as Kansas City, and they have not played their best football over the last couple of weeks. But at the same time, Kansas City has not covered 7 games in a row. So, it's like something's got to give in this game, and so you certainly could be very well taking Buffalo in this one and feeling good about it. I get to this point in the year, and I feel like the games are coin flips, but in years past, in general, the team at home playing to go to the Super Bowl is usually a lot bigger favorite than 3. Historically speaking, it just is. You're the home team. In all likelihood, you won your first playoff game. You were the best team in the conference going into the playoffs, and then you won in the first round. So you were 14-2 or 13-3. You're a 6 or 7 point favorite, and the two teams are just not in this game. So I just feel like the value is on the favorites because they're not really favorites. They're kind of even here. So that's where I'm at. I have really no opinion per se on the total here, but I think more than anything else, I'm hoping for good games. Because the games last week were
not me, Craig. I'm hoping they're terrible games, man. Like a good 42-7 drubbing.
What was your favorite game of the 4 last week?
My favorite game of the 4 last week? Ooh, I guess my favorite was probably Browns Chiefs, only because I genuinely believe that the Browns had the potential to do it. And had they, go figure, run the ball the way they should have in that second half, when it came time to ice the game and come down and score, it was 22-17, and the Browns had the ball, and it was like 5 minutes left. And all they needed to do was just have a nice sustained drive, run the ball. They couldn't stop Nick Chubb. They were struggling against Kareem Hunt. And I think Stefanski and Baker Mayfield just got a little too, we got to pass. We got to move it. I was like, you have time. Like, I get that you don't have timeouts, but I mean, still 5.5 minutes to go is a lifetime in the NFL at times. And if you need to just run up and spike it, you spike it. So that was the one game that I really thought was could have gone either way in the second half. All 3 of the other games, I knew what was happening.
Do you think the Browns would have won had Higgins not fumbled out of the end zone?
Yeah. Yeah, that definitely would have changed the entire dynamic of the game. 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
And do you think that the Browns should have punted on
No,
fourth.
no. Again, there you go. I mean,
Yeah.
that's disgusting. Like, I mean, it's the fourth quarter. You're down. You don't want to give them the ball back and hope that your defense, which has kind of sucked throughout the last, 5, 6, 7 weeks, whatever you want to say. Yeah, that was a no go for me. I mean, it bummed me out. I mean, Chiefs didn't cover that spread, but oof, that was the game that I enjoyed the most.
Yeah, I would say that that is fair. I think that the best playoff game we've had so far, possibly, was the very first game between Buffalo and Indianapolis. I think that could have been
Yeah,
the best NFL playoff game so far.
probably. Yeah. Well, let me look at the wild. I don't even remember what was going on in there
There are so many games.
back then. Oh, there were. Well, that Brown Steelers won 48-37. That was definitely entertaining.
Entertaining, yes.
But no, you're right. The best game itself, though, was that Colts Bills one. Absolutely.
Yeah, so
Absolutely.
I think we'll get one at least this weekend, and hopefully so, because I think that it'd be good. Yeah, and I think that the Super Bowl essentially, if it's Packers Bills, you're looking at Howard probably a pick 'em. You're looking at a one pick 'em. So tells you.
What if it's
Tells.
Packers Chiefs?
I'm
Chiefs
sorry,
by three?
Packers Chiefs. I apologize for that. Packers Chiefs. Pick 'em.
I thought you were just getting all fancy on me.
Yeah, I would say Packers Chiefs is a pick 'em. Unless the Chiefs unless the one of the teams blows another one out. I mean, that's going to affect things. But that's the look ahead lines right now. We're telling you that if it's Bucks Chiefs, Chiefs will probably be a small favorite, 1.5, 2.
Okay, I'm looking at DK Sportsbook right now, who's got them all laid out for you.
Go ahead.
Here you go. It's Chiefs minus 3.5 over the Bucks.
Okay.
It's Chiefs minus 2.5 over the Packers.
Okay.
It would be Bills minus 1.5 over the Bucks,
That's interesting.
and then it would be Packers minus 2.5 over the Bills.
Yeah, I think that all adds up. I'm surprised the Chiefs are that big a favorite over anyone in the Super Bowl, especially Green Bay. You said that Kansas City's minus 3.5 over Green Bay?
No, 2.5 over Green Bay, three
Okay,
and a half over Tampa.
even 2.5. I would guess more. I would guess money will come in on Green Bay.
I'm sure money will come in on Green Bay. Are you kidding? If Aaron Rodgers is playing for the Super Bowl and the season that he had, there's no doubt in my mind money's going to start coming in.
Yeah.
No doubt. You don't you don't play around with any props or first time touchdowns, anything like that?
There were a couple that we talked about today on my show that I could mention. I'll tell you what, my favorite one of all of the props that I saw was under Mike Evans's receiving yards. That was the one for me.
63.5 is where I saw it last.
Yeah, I don't understand that at all. He's probably going to catch 200 receiving yards this week because I don't get it. Maybe you can play the other side for me. I don't know.
No, I I wish I could, Craig. I wish I could, but I can't. I think the only prop that I'm kind of, I was kind of looking at here was I was talking with John and Pemba, and I was talking about
Sure.
possibly Leonard Fournette in a rushing yard prop, 42.5.
Okay.
But I'm looking at it right now, and it's minus 129. I might actually think about just the under at plus 104 if Ronald Jones is really going to get some work here.
Seems reasonable. They do split when they're both playing at the same time.
I mean, Ronald Jones. Everybody looks at Ronald Jones's numbers last week. They don't remember that he did lose a like a 40+ yard run for a holding penalty.
He did.
So
that's a good call. Yeah.
Yeah.
Stephon Diggs, 93.5 I looked at earlier. I like the over there. No one stopped him all year. I don't see that happening this week. That was another one.
You know what I liked? I wanted to throw $20 onto just Devontae Adams' first touchdown of the game, plus 525.
Man, let me tell you, I would love to win one of those in the Super Bowl. I feel like I'm on this horrible streak of like 30 years not hitting one of those. I think I hit it one time, just like in a pool. There was no betting, I don't think, but it was like a pool of some kind. I think it was like Brent Jones. I don't even know. I'm going way back. And I felt like, wow, I could do this every time. And I don't think I've gotten it since.
All right. Good to know. Good to know. Well, we'll do some Super Bowl props when that time comes. You guys have our picks right now here for these conference games. Now, Craig and I will not be back next week. We will be back the week after, obviously, to start talking Super Bowl and props and all the fun stuff that goes there. So, uh, final words of wisdom here, Craig, that you want to endow on the world.
Yes, there will be a lot better things to bet this weekend than the NFC and AFC championship. The lines are excellent this time of the year, very tight. Yeah, I'm not saying that someone's out there not saying that they guarantees this team is going to win, and it happens, because it does. I mean, you throw a dart, you hit it, but the lines are telling you that anybody could win in either of these two games this weekend. So I look
So
forward to seeing you in 2 weeks.
You'd rather bet on Poirier to knock out McGregor?
I would go the other way on that. Is there $1 on the other guy?
All right, fine, $1 on him.
Yeah, I college basketball, NBA maybe not so much. That's been tough too. But I do think that for sure when we come back in 2 weeks, and I think that the last couple of years we've done 10 props, like we've tried to pick 10 and our favorite 10. There will be winners among those. They make so many props like that for a reason, because what do I say, Howard, about the props? Do you remember what I always say about it?
I don't remember. What's the old Craig Mish adage?
The reason the props are like the Pringles.
Oh, because you can't bet just one.
You can't bet one. Nobody goes into that sports book in Vegas, Howard, and says, I want to bet one prop, and then walks away. No one does. No one does it.
True. Definitely. All right. Well, big thanks to everybody for tuning in today. Big thanks to John and Pemba, as always, for producing for us. Enjoy the games this weekend, everybody. And Craig and I will be back the week before the Super Bowl. So for Craig Mish, I'm Howard Bender. We'll catch you next time.